Hey there all you beautiful guardians of the glaze, welcome back to the Milky Donut. And if it's your first time here, welcome. This is the Milky Donut. We talk about all things pop culture, video games, and movies, and basically whatever I want. My favorite game series of all time is Zelda, so this is a big thing. And I already made a part 1 of what I wanted to see in the very likely Ocarina of Time remake, and as soon as I uploaded that, I knew I was going to have to make a part 2 because you guys were giving me ideas, and I was thinking of more stuff that I wanted, so here we are. And disclaimer, I don't feel like editing for 8 hours. I usually try to make my videos pretty heavily edited and fun and pretty, but today I'm not going to do that. So this video is basically going to be me sitting in my little virtual Zelda room, so I apologize, but it is what it is. And like I said, if you're new here, welcome to the Milky Donut, and if you could be so kind to hit that subscribe button. I do have a goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers as quickly as I can, and liking and commenting on this video will show the algorithm that this video is worth giving attention to. It's completely free, and it would help me out a ton. So with that being said, let's get into some more things that I hope to see in a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. Now, I mentioned the fact in my last video that I would like to see a more open overworld, and hold on, because that comment made people think that I want an Ocarina of Time version of Breath of the Wild, which is absolutely not the case. If you watch any of my older videos, I love to make people mad about how I prefer linear Zelda over open world Zelda. So me saying that I want a bigger, more open overworld in an Ocarina of Time remake does not mean that I want Ocarina of Time but Breath of the Wild. That's not at all what I meant. What I meant to say was, there's no way you make a full remake and don't expand on the world. Yes, I get it. We love Ocarina of Time. It's my favorite video game of all time, and I already have it predetermined in my mind that it always will be, no matter what comes out. Is that ignorant of me? Maybe, probably, yes, but I don't care. So that being said, no, I do not want an open world, Breath of the Wild, open air, Ocarina of Time remake. Okay? Okay. But this is probably the one time in history that we're gonna get a full from the ground up remake, and I know Nintendo doesn't ever do like full blown, insane rebuilt remakes. I get it, you know, it's Nintendo. They kind of suck with a lot of things, but we're just saying things that we want about a hypothetical game that's, you know, not really even confirmed yet. So I just think it would be stupid not to expand the overworld. You could make it the same map, just make it bigger. Just make it more expansive, because like I said in my previous video, Hyrule Field and the overworld of Hyrule is not that exciting. Like, there's not that much. If you want to get a new audience that's used to open air Zelda and used to these huge games, you can't just expect them to be massive fans of a little field that has really nothing to do in it. You know, and it pains me to say that about my own favorite game, but I have to not be blind and realize that this game isn't perfect, and most of it was because the hardware of the Nintendo 64 couldn't handle what they wanted. Which ever so nicely leads me into my first want, which was actually brought to me in the comment section of my last video by a subscriber by the name of Twilight Protege 6166, and basically he said that it would be nice to have, originally apparently Hyrule Field was supposed to be full of trees and more things to do, but like I said, the hardware of the 64 just couldn't, it wasn't possible. So similar to how we see a huge contrast when you come out of the Temple of Time 7 years later as an adult, and then you walk outside and there's re-deads everywhere, and it's all dead looking and dark. And then you go outside of Hyrule Field and it's really not like that big of a contrast. But what this subscriber is saying is it'd be cool to have, you know, a flourishing Hyrule Field full of trees and foliage, and it's all nice and things to do, and then you come there as an adult and it's like the trees are dead and everything is different. It just would further the contrast between how much Ganondorf actually has a hold over Hyrule, because as a kid, seeing the Dark Ring over Death Mountain, like, made me feel something. I was like, oh no, like, it used to look so cool. There's a little cloud and blue sky, and now it's just like a dark ring of smoke, and it's dark, and it's like terrible. Now imagine that over like the entire world of Hyrule. Massive difference in contrast, would add a ton of atmosphere, which I'm saving my biggest and most important thing for last, so stick around. But spoiler alert, it has to do with atmosphere, and the thumbnail of this video pretty much gives it away. So that being said, it would be cool to have like not only a more fully realized Hyrule Field, but also to have that contrast. And it's something as simple as trees. For some reason, I didn't think about more trees. I don't know why. That's like the first thing I would imagine. you would think of, but I was more thinking of NPCs, which I do want a ton of NPCs, like a ton of NPCs running around doing things. Maybe even add a new town. I mean, I'm getting crazy here, and I'm gonna piss off a lot of people because you can't win with Zelda fans. You know, I'm a huge Zelda fan. If you sway one way or the other, it's like politics, but with Zelda, either you hate or you love classic and open air Zelda. There's no in between. If you sway one way or the other, if you're an open world Zelda fan and you even remotely say something positive about linear Zelda, oh, well, you just want, and then it's the opposite. If you are a huge fan of linear and then you say, oh, well, maybe this should be a little bit more open, well, no, then it wouldn't be a classic Zelda. No, it's very, just whatever. But that being said, I think it would be cool to see this idea come to fruition. So thank you, Twilight Prodigy 6166, for that. Great idea. So next up comes from another subscribe. I hope you guys are subscribed, by the way. You might not be subscribed. You might just be commenting on my video, which is usually what happens. I think like 2% of my viewers are actually subscribed, which is terrible. So subscribe. Help me out. Help a brother out. Anyways, it comes from Adam Kirby 1. And in my last video, I did bring up the issue of music, how I would like to see a fully remade soundtrack, same music. Ocarina of Time has some of the most atmospheric, best music of anything ever, and I don't want that to change. But I wouldn't mind seeing an orchestrated version of that. But there is something I didn't think of, and if you're familiar with the original gold release of Ocarina of Time on the N64, I think it was 1.1, I believe. I have it on my shelf, and that's the one I played as a kid, and the Fire Temple music was not the same music as the rest of the releases of Ocarina of Time, as well as Ganondorf's blood being changed from red to green, I'm assuming to preserve the E for everyone rating. But that original Fire Temple music was absolutely haunting, and I say that the Forest Temple is the most atmospheric temple possibly in any Zelda game. But man, when I think of the old Fire Temple, I don't know, because that music was so perfect. And I remember as a kid playing that game, it gave me a weird feeling, like something I'd never felt. Like it really felt like you were just in a temple. And I think as a kid, I remember thinking it was like Goron's praying, like Goron's yelling, because there's Gorons that are being held prisoner in the Fire Temple. So I don't know if I associated that with the chanting or what, but damn, it was so good, and it's a shame that it got taken out. So if we could get something, I mean, if you think it's offensive, then that it is what it is. But if we could at least get something that resembles the original music, that would be huge, because man, that music was so good. And I don't know how I didn't think about this, but thank you, Mr. Adam Kirby. It's a great want. So thank you for that. I can only hope or wish that they would do that. I don't really see them bringing back Ganondorf's red blood if they really do want to keep the E rating. I don't know how much the ESRB has changed since 1998. But as far as the Fire Temple music, would absolutely love to see something come back that more resembles the original. So next up, I'm absolutely going to butcher this name. Spyro Christoulakis 6296. Sorry about that, brother or sister. But you have another want, and it's basically that the original final Ganon form was apparently supposed to be a lot different than the one we got. Apparently he was supposed to be like huge, and you would jump up and climb onto him and basically stab his weak points that way. But yet again, the 64 hardware just couldn't handle a fight to that extent. So if they could add either that or just vastly expand on the final battle of Ganon, because you can tell in the original he is meant to be big and opposing and dark, but if you just made him like really huge, like massive, and you did do like the thing where you jump on top of him and hit his weak points or shoot him with arrows or whatever you gotta do, that would be super cool, because the transformation from Ganondorf to Ganon has always been a big thing. Like, it's gonna happen a lot of the time. Like, that it's not over when you defeat Ganondorf. So it would be cool to see more emphasis on like, okay, I defeated Ganondorf and now I'm about to fight this absolute monster, and it would just be, yeah, I think it'd be cool to see that. I think it'd be cool to see a bigger version of Ganon, and a scarier, just more imposing version, and really show the contrast between Link and Ganon. And I'm actually going to reiterate this part in my last want because it ties into my biggest thing that I want. So I'm going to come back to this actually here in a little bit. So this next want comes from another subscriber / commenter. If you're not subscribed, you should subscribe, Kringlord97. But he's basically saying that he wants to see all the cut content from the original and basically like expanded lore connections now that Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess directly tie in to Ocarina of Time. Which would be really cool. Like I said in my last video, I wouldn't mind them messing with the timeline a little bit. I don't think they're going to. I think it's too convoluted, and I just don't see the Zelda team going into that. As much as I would like it, I really don't think so. But yeah, it would be cool to have, you know, maybe some Easter eggs or some nods to the other, because you know in Twilight Princess that the hero of time is the Nightshade. And it would be cool to, you know, throw in some things here and there. And he also goes on to say that he would want like a grittier art style, more akin to Twilight Princess, which I agree. I said that in my last video as well. I don't want to see shell shading, really. I don't want to see a Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess style art. I'm tired of seeing that, to be honest. It was really pretty in Breath of the Wild, and then I got like real tired of it after that game. I don't know. And he also says that he doesn't want to see like the hyper realistic Unreal Engine lighting, and I 100% agree. And you say that you don't know why. I can tell you why, because as good as that looks from a technical standpoint, Ocarina of Time is a very atmospheric game, and I keep saying this because just wait, but the lighting doesn't work for Ocarina of Time. It's a very dark and gritty game, and I think that's really what they were going for with the N64 version, and then they made the remaster on the 3DS, and I don't think it at all has the same vibe. It's still a good game, it's still Ocarina of Time, it does give really good quality of life fixes, but that game is just brighter, and it just doesn't feel like Ocarina of Time to me. So that's why the Unreal Engine doesn't look, because it's all so bright and so shiny, and you know, it's not what I would want to see for an Ocarina of Time remake. So I'm right there with you. Okay, next one comes from another comment from Sean Weber 7206, and I know that I brought up fishing in my last video, and fishing might not seem like a big deal, but to Zelda fans it is a big deal. And if you're watching this video, especially because I'm such a small channel, you probably are a Zelda fan, and you understand that fishing is phenomenal and a great addition to Zelda games. And I brought up in my last video that I wanted to see like a more extensive version of fishing in a remake. And I went on to say that I couldn't think of like ways, there's not many ways you could expand on it, but then I thought about it more, and you can. And also, Sean gave me an idea, which basically, Twilight Princess, you get a canoe to fish out of. Like, why not do something like that? I totally forgot that you had a canoe in Twilight Princess. So give me a really big, and when I say big, I mean the size of Lake Hylia in the original should be the size of the fishing pond in a remake. And then Lake Hylia should be, you know, huge. But give me a canoe, give me competitions, have other NPCs be fish, you know, side quests, different fish species. I mean, there's a lot you could do, and just a more extensive, more pretty, more glorified fishing hole. That's those two words. If you out of context, you know, oof. But yeah, I just want more. I'm going to reiterate it because I love the fishing in Zelda games, and I just want to see it come back better and greater than it ever has before. Alright, so my second to last want comes from I Am Joe Hill, and he says that he needs at least one hidden dungeon. And I'm assuming by hidden you mean like just either not heavily promoted or one that you just are exploring and you happen to stumble across it, which would be cool. You would have to expand the overworld quite a bit to be able to hide one, so I don't really know where you would put it, but I did say that I wanted the overworld to be expanded quite a bit, even with, you know, a new town or two, so there's no reason you couldn't put a hole in the ground somewhere, or a little cave, or a little crawl space, crawl through it, and then you find a door, and all of a sudden you're in a mini dungeon or something. So I think that would be totally cool. I'm with you on that one. So moving on to my last one, and this one is my biggest want. So I don't know why I didn't talk about it more in my first video, but if you haven't noticed, I've talked about atmosphere way way a lot. Because Ocarina of Time is a very, very atmospheric game. And I did bring that up in my last video, but I didn't really say what about the atmosphere, like what about it that I like so much. And that's the eeriness and the scariness of a lot of the dungeons and temples in Ocarina of Time, in the original. Not in the remaster, but in the original Ocarina of Time. And even dungeons that weren't necessarily supposed to be creepy, like the Spirit Temple, it's not like really creepy, but the atmosphere gives it such a mysterious, eerie feeling. And I don't think we've had really a game with the same amount of creepiness since Majora's Mask. I mean, you could argue that Twilight Princess is dark and gritty, which it is, but it just doesn't feel as creepy to me. I don't know what it is. You could say that it's just because I was a kid, but I don't think so, because I just recently played Ocarina of Time. And the bottom of the well, the Shadow Temple, it truly is like scary. Like the music is just so dreadful, and it's dark, and they lost that with the remaster for the 3DS. It's not even close to the same. So I want to bring back the scariness of the dungeons. And if you've watched what I want from the Zelda movie, which I made like a year ago, I brought up the fact that I want them to bring in some like horror elements, not like anything crazy, because they're obviously going to want to promote this for, kids. But we were kids. I know we're in like a softer world nowadays, but we turned out just fine. So I want them to make it creepy. I want darkness. I want freaky, like not watered down enemies, like Redeads that are still creepy, wall masters, floor masters, Dead Hand, like remake Dead Hand and make him realistic and terrifying. Put the blood on him like it was in the OG. Don't make it all like lame now. Like, I want it to be creepy. And the reason I want this so much is because it already is creepy and, scary at points, and the music is so acclimating for that. So there's so much potential with modern hardware to make. I mean, imagine a forest temple. The forest temple is creepy, but in like a different way. The forest temple isn't directly scary. There's no blood on the walls, there's no torture contraptions like there are in the Shadow Temple, but it's very, I'd say eerie is more the word, and a lot of that's due to the soundtrack of the Forest Temple. I mean, that's a big part of it. If you take the music out, it's not even close to what it is. But if you add that to modern technology and really not hardly any limitations, I mean, if they can pull off Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 1, then they should have no reason making a game half the size be and look insane. I really don't, say what you want about Nintendo. Like I said, who knows if they will actually do that? Because even if they can, they might just not, because they just do stuff and don't do stuff because they don't like us. But what are we gonna do about that? I don't not buy anything. You're not buying Ocarina of Time remake? Are you okay? So unless it looks absolutely like an abomination, I won't buy it, but there's like a 99.999% chance I'm buying this game. Like, actually 100%. Even if it looks bad, I'm probably going to buy it just because I'd have to play it. It's just, I really miss the creepiness of Zelda. And now that we have a chance to not only remake the stuff that we love, but also add to it with, like I said, modern technology, the Switch 2 has no reason not to be able to handle anything that we would really want for this game. Doesn't mean we're going to get it. Probably not going to get anything on this list, to be honest with you. But that's basically what I want. I want it to have its creepy, scary parts to it, just like the original had, but even more so, and just completely redone. There you go. There's my yap session for the day. Probably gonna make a Breath of the Wild video here in a couple days. I have a couple videos lined up. I told you guys I was getting back into YouTube, and I've said that like once or twice, and then I've disappeared I made like one video, and then I didn't for like 2 months or 3 months, but dude, I'm pumping these videos out, so I'm having a great time. You guys are being super supportive. Like I said, super small channel, so subscribe if you haven't. Both of my last videos back to back have gotten over a couple thousand views, so you guys are amazing. And you guys make this fun. So yeah, what do you want to see? Maybe we'll make a part 3. I mean, we got a while till this game comes out, so I highly doubt it'll be the last video I make as more news and stuff comes out. So go ahead and comment what you want to see and like this video. I'll see you next time on the Milky Donut.